See, Xbox might just win the console wars, but not in the way that you expect. See, it feels like it's been years now that I've been hearing rumors of Xbox exclusives coming over to PlayStation. I even heard a few times that they were going to try and bring the Game Pass to PlayStation. Recently, there's been news articles released saying that Halo, one of Xbox's biggest franchises, is coming over to PlayStation. Personally, I see this as a good thing. For a long time now, I've been seeing consoles exclusives as like an outdated practice. I'm not gonna bash PlayStation or Xbox in this video, but if you feel the need to, please do so in the comment section below. Console exclusives might be one of the worst business practices I've ever seen. Okay, so a console exclusive is intended for someone to see a game that they like, and then they will base the console that they buy on those games. Now, in my personal opinion, this is basically a free advertisement for PCs. Because yeah, the Xbox player could spend $700 on a PlayStation 5 Pro, and then an extra $70 for a game that they want to buy. Or they could just save up and, get a PC and play games from both consoles. Another con for console exclusives is that they cut off the profit-making potential that a game has. For example, let's use the Spider-Man games from Insomniac. Spider-Man is one of the big three when it comes to popular comic book characters, along with Superman and Batman. People absolutely love Spider-Man. But how many people would pay $600 to play as Spider-Man? Now, you could just watch all the cutscenes on YouTube or some random Twitch streamer, which is how I used to enjoy games back when I was a teenager who didn't have a job and couldn't afford every new game. So why wouldn't I do that as an adult? Especially when the game stands out more for its story than its gameplay. Yeah, I said it, Spider-Man stands out mostly for the web singing and not anything else. Another point against console exclusives is the shady business practices, right? See, around the release of Black Myth Wukong, rumors began to spread that PlayStation paid Game Science not to release the game on Xbox. And Game Science cited problems with porting the game over to the Xbox Series S. Now, I don't know if anybody came out, made a statement, or if there was any evidence of this actually happening. So, as you're hearing this from me, this is all speculation and should not be used in any way to slander any companies involved. Black Myth Wukong was originally slated to be released on all consoles, except for the Switch. And it was a game that I was really excited for. I'm a big fan of Souls-like games and anime. And Black Myth Wukong was a Souls-like game centered around the most influential character for all shonen anime. So why wouldn't a guy like me want to play it? And I was absolutely going to. But then I found out that it wasn't coming to Xbox. And it completely killed any hype for me. This was a game that was going to get a guaranteed $70 from me, but now even if it does release on Xbox, I'm probably not gonna play it because I've already experienced everything that it had to offer through YouTube. The same thing happened to another game I was hyped for, Predator Hunting Grounds, which did get an Xbox release October 1st, 2024. That's 4 years after the PlayStation release and 3 years and 9 months after the game died. Now, why would I pay any amount of money for a multiplayer game that no one plays anymore? There's not even a story mode. I wouldn't even notice that it had released on Xbox if it wasn't for it being $14 for a New Year's Eve sale. Now, let's not even mention the lack of diversity in console exclusives. If you're playing a PlayStation game, you're probably getting some kind of solo player experience, cinematic masterpiece that makes you feel like you're playing an interactive movie. For Xbox, you're playing a gritty shooter that has heavy emphasis on multiplayer gameplay. And if we're being honest, there's a lot of themes of xenophobia and racism that would be seen as very problematic if the enemies in the game were human. And for Nintendo, you're playing some kind of puzzle or platformer, something with cartoonish graphics. Very fun, very fun. Now, there are some outliers, just like most things, but that really doesn't take away the point that these games really aren't that diverse. So how does Xbox win in the situation that they lose their console exclusives? Well, there's a few ways really, right? And one of those being the Game Pass. Now, I've heard plenty of naysayers about the Game Pass, and the most important one that they like to point out is that it screws over game developers because they can't see the profits from the games that they make. Well, I would say that game developers already don't see the profits from the sales that they make for these games, unless they're like some indie studio that doesn't have some kind of corporation above them sucking in all their profits. They're not gonna see that money. Now, just like Netflix, the Game Pass is basically a subscription service for gaming, right? And just like the creatives who get their movies and TV shows put on Netflix, I really don't hear any game developers complaining about the performance of their games on Game Pass. Now, I would go out there and say that the deal that Microsoft struck up with these game developers is something like a licensing deal based on download and plays, but there's no real information out there to confirm that situation. So I guess if you're a game developer and you're willing to let us know the ins and outs and break that NDA, go ahead, let us know. We would love to hear. I think everybody would like to hear how the Game Pass pays. The cost of the Game Pass is $14.99 a month for the Ultimate Edition and $9.99 for just Game Pass Core. The Ultimate Edition does come with Xbox Live, which if you play on PC, you won't need a subscription to Xbox Live to play with other people. For context, the Xbox Live subscription on its own is about $9.99 a month, so $10 every month. However, you would still have to buy all the games that you would like to play, even if they are offered on the Game Pass, because since you don't have the Game Pass, you can't play those games freely. Now, over a year, that would come out to be about $120 for Game Pass Core and $144 for the Game Pass Ultimate. That would be the same price as buying two full price $70 games without the Game Pass. I don't really think that's hard to do because I actually did that last year in the span of 2 months with Call of Duty alone. So I got Modern Warfare 3 and then Black Ops 6. But since I got it through the Game Pass, I didn't have to pay a dime. I guess I had to pay for the actual subscription to Game Pass, but $14 versus $144. Go figure. The crazy thing is, I haven't actually bought a Call of Duty game since Call of Duty Ghosts. I have not played this game series in over a decade, and within last year alone, I was able to play fully through the campaigns of 2 Call of Duty games, and I had a great old time. Those games being free got somebody like me to even consider coming back to the franchise. And here's another thing. Also, every single Xbox exclusive turns up on the Game Pass. You can play it day one. See, that's not even where the Game Pass actually shines. So I would say it's the indie games and the AA games. I have had the Game Pass for over 7 years and I've been able to play hundreds of indie games. And that's all because I don't have to pay more than $15 a month to access them. All in all, I would say that the Game Pass has probably saved me thousands of dollars. And I've experienced so many games that I would have never even thought about playing, all because they were on the Game Pass and I didn't have to pay more than $15 a month to actually see them. See, my point is that the Game Pass is surprisingly consumer friendly in a corporate run world that seems intent on taking money out of your pocket every way that they can. But let's talk about the actual negatives of the Game Pass, because as you know, when you get a game through the Game Pass, you're basically renting that game. However, I would like to point out that if you buy digital, you're renting your games anyway. We do have executives telling us to get used to renting our games. To get used to not owning our games. And we even have laws out in California forcing game studios to tell their consumers that the games that they purchase aren't really theirs and they're just licensing the game if it's digital. That's right, you do not own a single digital game that you own, and with the threat of digital games being removed at any time that a publisher or a game studio decides to stop selling it, you know, you can just ask this. I guess this is a question for all the people that buy digital games. Would you rather rent your games for $70, $15, or $10? You tell me. As gamers, we really do need to have a conversation. As gamers, we really do need to talk. As gamers, we really do need to start taking game preservation. I don't know. I'm looking at you. You can't talk. As gamers, we really need to talk. Game preservation. That's what we need to do. Another way that Xbox can take advantage of this situation is to stop focusing on making consoles and to start focusing on only publishing games, right? Because I ain't gonna lie to you, PC is the future. The reason that I say that is solely based on the PlayStation 5 Pro. If you haven't heard, recently the PlayStation 5 Pro released at a whopping $700. I hate to break it to you. If you spent $700 on a game console instead of a PC, you have zero financial sense, and the gamblers want to know your parlays so that they can avoid the same mistakes that you make. See, my point is, I can't justify consoles being close to the price of a PC when you can't upgrade them without facing legal repercussions. That's right, if you modify your console's firmware, you can go to jail. You're committing a crime. Stupid. When the next generation of consoles release, I'm not buying the PlayStation 6 or whatever the new Xbox is going to be called. And 5 years later, when the Switch 3 actually releases, I'm just going to ignore that too. And if Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo were smart, they would realize that they would probably have a higher profit margin if they would just focus on the games instead. Oh my God. Instead of wasting time, money, and resources on creating whatever new consoles that is going to be the same price as a PC anyway. And how does Xbox come out on top in this situation? Well, they have a leg up. They have the experience. See, the Game Pass and the studios that they own give them a big chance to just come out on top in the future. Let's not lie to ourselves. Sony has a long history of being anti-gamer. Make, for instance, something like crossplay. The reason that crossplay isn't an industry standard right now is because of solo efforts, mostly from Sony, because they want a monopoly on gaming. Fortnite literally had to force them to make their game crossplay, or else they would not have Fortnite on PlayStation right now. Currently, the Game Pass isn't on PlayStation, even though there's probably been offers that have been made. And to my knowledge, I don't know if there is any kind of plan to put a Game Pass competitor on PlayStation. And if there is one, will you be getting the same kind of amenities that the Xbox gamers do? Would you get those exclusives day one? What is the price? You know, these are things that we have to consider. And if there was that kind of thing being put into the PlayStation right now, would it be like a kind of a Hulu versus Netflix kind of situation? Where's Disney Plus in this equation, you know? And since the Game Pass isn't on PlayStation, I just got to assume that they were offered the worst deal of all time, because my goodness, the money you would rake in. Oh man. Don't let me be the CEO of PlayStation, bro. We would have been eating. For the Game Pass not being on PlayStation, I can only cite, bad business or just absolutely just some anti-consumerism. And I highly doubt that PlayStation is bad at business. But you tell me, did I miss anything? Do you think the future of gaming is going to be dominated by PC? Do you like the Game Pass? Did you like or dislike this video? Are you subscribed? As always, comments are wide open. Feel free to voice your opinion, shout at me, yell at me, do what you gotta do. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Stay in school, don't do drugs.